Welcome back. We've got our game working pretty well, but all good games need an introduction screen and a game over screen. And also, when we crash, we want to be able to have another attempt without having to restart the program. So currently, we set this playing variable equal to true, and we loop as long as that playing variable is true. And when we crash, we set that variable to false. So what we want to do is repeat this over and over. So I'm going to change this to main game loop, and then above this I'm going to have a while true, and then everything below here needs to be part of that loop, and to make it part of the loop I just indent it, and I can do that by highlighting all of that code and hitting the tab key. Great. So now when I crash, it should come up and restart. And let me just to highlight what's going to happen here. Inside this loop that we're running, I'm going to sleep for 1 second. So we go up here and I crash, we sleep for 1 second, and then the game starts again. But look what's happening. When the game restarts, you can see here that the car is in the same position. So I'm crashing immediately again. So what I need to do is every time I restart that game loop, I need to set all of the cars back to their original positions. So let's do that now. So we can see that our own car starts at 260.10. So let's move it back into the right position, 260.10, and the enemy car, let's move that to 260 and the height of the screen. Great. So now when I crash, we sleep for 1 second, then we restart the program. Awesome. All right, now we can add in our introduction screen and our game over screen. So our introduction screen is going to happen here at the start of our forever loop, or our while true, which repeats forever. So let's go and put a comment and say introduction screen, and then here I'll put a comment for this. This was reset cars to their starting positions. Cool. And I might move this comment here, main game loop, up to here as well. Great. So what we want to do is create a loop here that loops until the user, maybe until they hit the P key for play. So I'm going to create a loop. So I'm going to create a Boolean variable called intro, set it to true, and then I'm going to say while intro, and we'll repeat here until they hit the P key. So for the moment, let's just draw a red background just to see that this is working, and then we'll say if is key pressed key underscore P. That checks if they're hitting the P key. And if that's true, we'll set intro equal to false, so the loop will stop. Let's check that out. So when we start, we've got a red background. When I hit the P key, the game starts. Awesome. And when I crash now, sleeps for 1 second, and then we're back to the intro, hit the P key, and we start. Cool. Now let's make this intro look a little bit better. So I'm going to create some text sprites that I can use to animate some text. Now let's call this game maybe Street Racer. And I'm going to have the word street come down from the top of the screen and the word racer come up from the bottom. So let's create two text sprites. One called street text, and that is a text sprite that holds the word street. And let's try 150 pixels across. It'll start at the height of the screen because it's going to come down, and let's make it 100 pixels high. And the racer text, we'll set that to be a text sprite holding the word racer. It'll be 150 pixels across. It'll start at minus 100 pixels and be 100 pixels tall, so they'll both start off the bottom of the screen. And then we can actually draw them onto the screen. So let's go street text.draw, and then we will move that by 0 left or right and -1, so it's coming down the screen. And then we'll draw the racer text, and we will also move the racer text by 0, but this time up the screen. So let's check out this. Whoa, that worked, but it went too fast. We forgot the sleep command. So our at the bottom of all these animation loops, we should have a sleep command. So let's sleep for 1/60th of a second. All right, that's looking good. But what I think I want to happen is when they get close together, I want them to stop. So I only want them to move if they haven't traveled far enough yet. So let me just draw them together. So I'm going to move this up to here. And then I'm going to say if street text.y is greater than 300, then I want to move both of these. So I will tab them both in. And so now I'm only going to move them if the street y is greater than 300. Let's try that. All right, looks like we've got an error here on line 40. Oh, I forgot the colon. Look at that. There we go. Easy fix. And now, as long as street is greater than 300, they should keep coming towards each other. And then they stop. Great. And now I could just put a little command here saying, press P to play. So for that, I'm just going to use the text command because I don't want it to actually move. So I'll say else. So if the street text has already reached where it should go, then I will just text and let's say press P to play, exclamation mark. Let's use a capital P, and we'll put that at 150. We'll put that at 200 up, or let's say 100 up, and let's make it 50 pixels in size. And here we go. And once they stop, we should see the press P to play. Great. Now, of course, you can make it look much more professional than this. Maybe add some images of cars moving across the screen. Do whatever you want to make it look really fancy. But I'm just going to move on now to the game over screen. So this indented here is part of the game loop. And so when that game loop finishes here, we can go on to our game over screen. And I don't really need this sleep one anymore, but what I need is a loop that's going to continue until they hit maybe R to restart the game. So let's create a Boolean variable called game over equals true and say while game over. And then here, let's set the background to some kind of dark gray, almost black color. And then let's go if is key pressed, key R to restart, then we'll set game over equal to false, and that should end this game over loop, and then it'll go back to our forever loop and back to the introduction screen. Let's just check that's working. All right, so let's hit P to play, let's crash, and there's our game over screen, waiting until I hit R, and then we start again. Great. Now, press P to play. What happens here? Oh yes, look at this. We forgot to reset our score. So if I reach a score of 1 and then crash and then I restart and play again, my score's still 1. So let's fix that quickly. So let's go up to here, reset cars to their starting position and the score. So we should also say score equals 0. And while we're at it, why don't we record a high score? That's a great idea. So I can create a high score variable. So score equals 0 and high score also equals 0 when we first start. So when the game is finished and they've crashed, we can check if their score is greater than the high score. And if that's true, then we'll set the high score equal to the score. And so then in this game over screen, we could display the high score. Let's do that. All right, so in game over, we'll print the background. Let's choose a fill color, maybe a gray color. And then let's write the score. So we'll just use the text command for this and we'll say score and we'll add to it the score, turning it into a string so we can concatenate these together. Let's put this 10 pixels in, 10 pixels up from the bottom. Let's make it 50 pixels in size, and then we can text the high score, and we'll add to that the high score, turn to a string. We'll put that, maybe we'll put that 310 pixels across, 10 pixels up, and we'll make it 50 in size. Let's take a look. So we'll play. Let's get a high score. So once this car comes off, our score will go to 1. That should be a high score, and we'll crash. Oh yeah, look, score 1, high score 1. Cannot quite see that. What we might do is just move the high score and score on top of each other. So let's make the score 10 pixels across, and let's make this one 60 pixels up. Alright, that looks pretty good. We'll make it a little bit higher, maybe 100. So for the game over, let's make it that a police car comes up and pulls us over. So I'm going to say car.move to, and I move it 100 pixels across, and I'm going to move it to the height of the screen minus our car's height, so it will appear just here. And then I want to create a police car that comes up the screen. So let's do that. So where we create the car and the enemy car, let's go and create the police car. And now there is a police car in the asset library. So I'm going to call it police car, and it's going to be a sprite. And you can find the police car in the asset library. This is its location. So I'm going to copy that, and let's paste that in here as the location. And I want it to start at maybe 300 pixels across, and let's start it below 0 by the height of the car, which is around 150 pixels. So let's go minus 150. So now inside our game over loop, I want to be drawing our car and the police car. And I want to draw the score last so that it'll always appear on top. So I'm going to do that straight after we clear the background. Car.draw. Now our car's not moving, so it'll stay stationary. And then police car.draw. Let's draw it. And then police car dot move by 0 left or right, and let's make it move by 2 pixels up the screen, but only until it reaches a certain point. So I'm going to say if police car dot y is less than the height of the screen, minus the police car dot height. If that's the case, then let's move it. Otherwise, we won't move it anymore. All right, let's take a look. So let's play. Let's crash. Whoa, there we go. And the police car moved up there really fast. And we probably want to slow that down by putting in a sleep, which I forgot. So in our game over loop here, let's just add a sleep by 1/60th of a second. And I want to move both of these cars over a little bit to make them a bit more centered. So let's move them over by 50 pixels each. So we'll move that to 150. And when we create our police car, let's create it at 350. All right. So play and crash, and there we go. And this is looking good. Now all I need to do is add a little hit R to restart, and I think we've finished this section. So we check here if the police car has reached the top of the screen. If it hasn't, so if it's less than the top of the screen, we move the police car. Otherwise, we can just write the text that says press R to restart. And let's put that at 150 pixels across, 300 pixels up, and make it 50 pixels in size. And that should look good. Press R to restart. And again, you can make this game over screen look much better, but now we've introduced game states and our game is looking pretty good. Okay, I just realized there's two little issues here. Firstly, the game over screen doesn't say game over. Let's add that in. And secondly, if we crash for a second time, our police car's already at the top of the screen. So before we start the game over screen, we need to move our police car back to its original position. Now the police car's original position was 350, minus 150. So let's take care of that first. Police car dot move to 350, minus 150, ready to restart the game over. And then let's just draw game over here. So let's maybe do it in a red color and let's say text game over. Let's put that somewhere, let's say 100 pixels across. Let's put it 400 pixels up and let's make it 100 pixels in size. Alright, clearly not the right spot. Let's just update that quickly. So let's just fix up the position. Let's put it 25 pixels across. Let's make it 350 pixels high, 350 pixels high, and let's make it 80 pixels in size. Great. Alright, and there we have it. As I said, it's really up to you to make this game over screen as professional as you want. Add more animations, add more text, make it look really cool. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.